Our story begins with Christopher Columbus, who landed in a place he thought was India, and then thought was America, and then eventually people found out that it was really an island close to America. Nevertheless, people wanted to go to America now that they knew that it existed, especially the Spanish, who acted like regular tourists and waltzed in acting like they owned the place, drawing lines in the sand which they promptly named Hispaniola. The people that were already living there couldn't really do anything about what the Europeans were doing except sort of try to control them and keep them in the area that they were staying. This is where Cortes enters our story. A juvenile delinquent who dropped out of school to go to America, tripped on the way to the boat, and had to wait until he recovered before he could actually make the trip. But nevertheless, he did make the trip, and before long, he was in Hispaniola. There in Hispaniola, Cortes met Diego Velázquez, who wanted to invade Cuba and drive out the natives to expand territory in. Cortes mentioned that his father was in the military once, and Velázquez assumed that this meant that he was ready to go on the campaign with him. And so, before long, Cortes was on a campaign with Velázquez into Cuba. Because Cortes was never actually a soldier before, he didn't really know how to fight anybody, and it's presumed that he just sort of yelled unhelpful things until the fight was over. Nevertheless, the battle was won, and years later, like many politicians throughout all of American history, Cortes did not like the people of Mexico, the Aztecs, and he wanted to have a campaign so that he could kill the Aztecs and take the land for Spain. With this in mind, he asked Velázquez, who was now the governor of Cuba, if he could have support for this military campaign. Velázquez remembered back to the campaign against Cuba many years ago, and seems to remember that Cortes helped him during the campaign overall, and so thought, hey, he probably shot somebody, go ahead. However, after giving the permission, Velázquez thought harder and realized that Cortes didn't really do anything useful during the Cuba campaign, and probably won't do anything useful now. He tried to rescind the order, but Cortes ignored him and set sail for the Yucatan Peninsula. Upon arriving at the Yucatan Peninsula, Cortes then renounced Velázquez as a leader and claimed that he was only acting in the interest of the king. He then began the march to Tenochtitlan. As luck would have it, the leader of the Aztecs, Moctezuma, thought that, at this time, the bird god Quetzalcoatl would be showing up around the time, and believing that the Europeans could be Quetzalcoatl, sent out a group of people to meet up with the Europeans on their journey to Tenochtitlan. Upon their first encounter with the Europeans, the Aztecs were fascinated by everything about them, and also gave them gifts as a sign of peace. But the Europeans realized that the Aztecs were the ones that they were trying to murder, and fired off guns into the group, which spooked them so that they ran away. Cortes and his men went on to effortlessly march into Tenochtitlan, and with the help of the Tlaxcalans, a rival tribe who also wanted the Aztecs dead, were able to successfully capture Moctezuma and hold him hostage. Using Doña Marina, a slave girl given to Cortes and his men by the Aztec ambassadors, as a translator, they were able to negotiate a deal in which Moctezuma could remain alive so long as Cortes and his men retained control of Tenochtitlan. Right as deals were being made, however, Velázquez sent a party to eliminate Cortes. Cortes, being the Julius Caesar that he was, decided that it would be the best idea to take all of his forces out of Tenochtitlan to fight against Velázquez. While Cortes did defeat Velázquez, leaving the Aztecs alone in the city made re-entry impossible, and so Cortes had to retreat for the time being. The Aztec victory was short-lived, however, because unknowingly Cortes had given them smallpox, and within a short time period almost all of the Aztecs were dead, making reconquest of Tenochtitlan easy for Cortes. Cortes wasted no time claiming Tenochtitlan for Spain, only to be disappointed by finding that Hispaniola was having a rebellion against him. Once again showing his inner military genius, Cortes wasted no time doing exactly what caused him to lose Tenochtitlan in the first place, transferring all of his forces out of Tenochtitlan, and yet again being surprised by the fact that his forces had no control of Tenochtitlan when they returned. Sensing that he wasn't welcome to America, Cortes decided to hop a boat to Spain, and upon arriving at Spain, tried to plead with the king so that he could gain some authority in America once again. The king then chastised Cortes for his terrible decision-making and poor military strategy before stripping him of all authority that he had in America at all, remarking that it was Velasquez that gave him the authority that he had, not King Charles V. Disheartened by this rejection from the king, Cortes decided that he would go back to America to do some more exploring. In America, he discovered Baja California, which he thought was an island. No, seriously, he actually thought it was an island. Confident that his exploration had made him famous and wealthy, Cortes went back to Spain so that he could live the rest of his life bathing in the fame and recognition. However, few people in Spain actually did recognize him, and Cortes decided that America was better anyway. However, before he could go back to Mexico, which he had planned to, he died of pleurisy in 1547. Lucky Mexico.